making your way down, we're going to have the spine lovely and long, the soles of the feet together. The feet can be as close or as far from your pelvis as you like, completely up to you. As the knees fall wide, it will create an intensity through the inner pelvis. If it feels a little bit too much, then feel free to prop a little blanket or a couple of blocks underneath each upper outer thigh. If it does feel comfortable just to release and relax, then we stay here. If you'd like to intensify the sensations even further, then we draw the arms into a little square where you hold the opposing elbow and you drop the arms back and frame your head. Brilliant. This is your supine butterfly. We're going to encourage the muscles of the body to begin to relax down. Switching off specifically through the target areas, which here are the hips, the inner thighs, the outer thighs, the arms. If switching off creates an intensity that surpasses what you're comfortable with, prop your upper outer thighs up a little bit more. If you do feel comfortable with that intensity, which will inevitably come because we're reaching new depths, and we simply allow ourselves to draw our awareness towards those sensations. Within Yin, we would like the sensations to be halfway between not being able to feel it at all and the sensations being far too much. We always want that halfway point where we're showing the body as much compassion as we can whilst practicing discipline at the same time. We're sitting with sensations that might feel a little bit unfamiliar. They might feel very intense, but we're never putting the body through pain. Often, the less we resist the pose, the more passive the body, the more we relax with gravity, melting down and surrendering, the more comfortable the pose becomes. Because we're disengaged through the muscles, they do have a secondary benefit of flexibility improvement, but our main focus here is the range of motion of the joints. That's our bodily focus. You're slowly improving the length and the strength of these deep yin tissues of the body, improving the lubrication of these areas. But on an energetic level, we're focusing on the meridian body. So each pose not only improves your physical ability, your physical range of motion, but it's thought to also encourage a flow of prana through the meridian body, where ley lines are believed to carry life force from the toes up to the crown, down to the fingers, all through your body, these tracks of energy that are believed to bring a sense of well-being throughout your whole being. Each pose is held normally between 1 to 5 minutes, depending on the pose, depending on our ability. And we're going to slowly make our way out of this. We make our way out by moving as slowly as we can, often so slowly that it feels a bit silly. So we just walk our feet a little bit wider. You might use your hands or you might leave them back for a little bit. Slowly guiding your knees together. We're going to heel toe our feet as wide as the mat, and then your knees are slowly going to collapse against one another. You might leave your arms back for a nice relax, or you might draw them down by your side. If you're starting to feel it in the shoulders, you might just guide them down. So we have knees together, feet wide, arms wherever you like. And this is what we call a counterpose. So because we're working with the meridian body in Yin, we often follow most of the poses with a counterpose. This is where the energy can freely flow through the areas that we were just stimulating or compressing. And this allows that flow that we talk about, that balance of life force that flows through you with ease, to really begin to surge. There's the thought that when we come into our poses, it gently blocks that natural flow, and as we come out of the poses, it just flows through the whole body. Our Savasana at the end will be the ultimate counterpose, where we're thought to really soak up all of the benefits of the practice. Well done. When you're feeling ready, we're going to send the legs long, but again, we move incredibly slowly. Legs come long, and you might feel a little bit of sensitivity in the body here. Just be really mindful. Think about what works for your body. So we're coming into a nice lateral bend. We're going to draw our palms to stack and arms draw back. We draw both feet to the left. Both arms come up and over towards the left. And then we relax down heavily. Naturally, as you relax down, your feet might fall a little bit wider. Your arms might splay a little bit wider. That is absolutely fine. Wherever you naturally land in your Yin practice is your perfect version of this pose. Saying that, if you do want to deepen, you can re-step, realign the arms and the legs to go deeper once again. Naturally, as you relax down here, we should feel an intensity or a stimulating of that meridian body through the right side of the body. We should feel a nice stretching through the right side of the body. We don't need too long in this pose. And whilst a healthy, functioning, nice flow through these meridians, or the meridian body, is believed to bring that sense of overall well-being, it is thought that each individual meridian relates to a different internal organ and a different emotion, although there is a lot of overlap between the different emotions that the different meridians cover. This specific pose is thought to relate to feelings of release, forgiveness, and letting go. It's really normal for the mind to wander in Yin. Yin is often described as a moving meditation, although there's not that much movement. We allow ourselves to fall into that meditative state whilst practicing poses. This is because we allow that same passiveness within the mind that we allow within the body. This means if we notice the mind wandering, that's fine. We don't need the brain to be perfectly still, perfectly zen. You don't need to do or be anything at all other than exactly as you are. But what we do practice in Yin, what we do try and encourage, is a silent observation. So whilst it's perfectly fine to experience thoughts or to catch yourself in mid-conversation, what we allow ourselves permission to do is return to a state of being, where there is no responsibility on you to respond to the thought, to react to the thought, There is no pressure on you to decide whether the thought aligns with who you are, your identity, whether you reject the thought or accept the thought. There is no response or reaction from you. You're just the silent observer. Well done. When you're ready, we guide the feet back through center and the arms back through center. And we're just going to spend around 20 seconds here in center before we move to the other side. In your counter poses, it's good to encourage as much stillness as we have in the poses themselves. This stillness refers to not only the relaxation of the muscles, but also the stilling and the slowing of those smaller movements. So itches, scratching, fidgeting. These can be quite difficult to still. We also refer to the stilling of lots of smaller movements, including the eyes. For example, we're not moving the pupils, looking around. We close down the eyes. We completely still the pupils. And this, in time, will de-stimulate the brain just that bit more. It signals that there's nothing else to be doing. It allows us to avoid getting distracted by those small external distractions. It allows you to turn inwards into that little haven on your mat. You can do this with your eyes open or closed. However, as yin often relates to darkness, it can be really nice to close the eyes down and encourage that yin-like essence. When you're feeling ready, we're going to step both feet towards the bottom right corner of the mat. And then both arms come up and over towards the right corner of the mat. Relax down through the feet, through the arms. Everything becomes heavy. Everything melts. Allow the forehead, the jaw, the cheeks, the tongue. Allow it all to become soft and relaxed. It's thought that when we become anxious within the mind, we can become jittery. When we become stressed within the mind, the body can become tense. When we become sad within the mind, the body can begin to move slower. So just taking what we understand about the body and the mind and how interconnected they are, we're simply taking what we can control to reverse engineer how we feel. We can control the breath, allowing slow, natural breath, which should come naturally as we release and relax the muscles of the torso. And we can control the body for the most part. We can allow a relaxation of the muscles. A feeling of surrender, relaxation, release. And that release of control, that complete acceptance and allowing of whatever arises within your physical body. For example, we allow our body to be however it is. There's no perfect aesthetic of a pose in yin, but also within our mind. We allow our mind to be however it is. We don't force it to be quiet. We simply observe from a place of quietness. We allow thoughts to arise. We simply don't respond to them. There is no right or wrong in yin. There is simply an allowing and an accepting of yourself exactly as you are in the present. Free from the need to change or do anything at all. You simply stay in a state of being. From what we know about how interconnected the mind and the body are, often with time, the mind becomes stiller and slower, just as the body does. The mind becomes more allowing, more quiet. When you're feeling ready, slowly step both feet and both arms back through center. Inhale deeply and then float your arms down by your side for this counter pose, where we just rest here for 20 seconds. Allow your head to relax, eyes to relax, everything melts down. If you find it difficult to relax down the muscles of the body, one thing that you can do is, with every exhale, imagine sinking heavier into the floor. With every inhale, relax down the muscles of the front body. With every exhale, relax down the muscles of the back body. It's normal for the mind to wander in yin. If the mind does experience thoughts or conversation, you're not practicing incorrectly. As long as we observe and then observe from that place of stillness, so when we become aware that the mind has begun to wander, or that we're experiencing a thought, then we observe from that place of stillness where we don't need to react or respond, accept the thought or reject the thought. We just observe in stillness. Then we're practicing yin perfectly. When you're feeling ready, we're going to slowly make our way onto one side and then make your way up into a comfortable upright position. So we're going to draw our right leg parallel to the front of the room. So your shin is parallel to the front of the room, your thigh is parallel to the side of the room with a lovely right angle. Square your hips off. Your hips should be touching the ground, but it's normal if one is flying just above. You can always grab a blanket if you find it is flying a bit too high here. With this back leg, your knee could be touching the sole of the foot for a gentle approach, or you could draw about a half a leg's distance between these two with another right angle in that back leg for a more intense approach. We have two options in terms of where our upper body falls. So for a gentler approach, you could frame the knee and you might make your way forwards over time, walking the hands out like so. For a more intense approach, you might come into full deer, and then you might again walk your hands forwards into sleeping deer. Now, this is a very intense twist. If you want to do full sleeping deer, but it feels too intense, again, you might pull that leg forward so that the knee and sole of the foot are touching. It's completely up to you. When you're ready, make your way into your perfect version of this pose. You might rest your head on the forearms. You might guide them right out in front, allowing your body to be more falling down towards the floor, more of an opening through the chest. Again, there is no right or wrong in yin. Practice how you want to practice. Allow your pose to feel how you want it to feel. For example, if you love that sensation of intensity within the hips, then you might keep that leg back. You might even keep it a bit more upright. If you want that lovely twisting, that releasing through the torso, then you might come into that full twist with the legs together. Listen to your body, do what feels right for you, and always monitor the sensations, making sure that we don't surpass that sensation of intensity, of stretch, and don't move into that pain sensation. We always want to show our body as much compassion as we can. So just staying aware, staying mindful, being kind to the body, whilst also practicing discipline. Yin is very much about bringing balance into every part of your being. So it's about bringing balance back into the energy body. So we have that natural flow of prana, or life force, through our body, through our energy body. It's about bringing balance into the yin-yang energy bodies. It's about strengthening the deep parts of the body, which can become underused due to that stretch response in everyday life, where the muscles are engaged in protecting these deep areas. But they do need to be moved still in a way that they enjoy, such as yin practice, where we come into long, still holds. The mind often wanders in yin, and it can wander for a myriad of reasons. Sometimes the silence of the present moment can be unfamiliar and therefore uncomfortable. Sometimes we begin to tap into an area of the physical or energetic body that might have held a lot of emotion or memories, and therefore the mind shifts, maybe towards an actual thought, maybe towards an energy or an emotion. And these subtle shifts are completely normal. What we allow ourselves to do is not turn into doing mode and just stay in that being mode. We observe without the need to do anything at all. We don't need to decide what the thought is, or where in the body we hold it. We don't need to release it away. We just allow an awareness to be drawn towards it, free from attachment, free from judgment. Each thought is equal in weight. We're simply a silent observer. When you're feeling ready, slowly walking your hands up towards you. And we're going to come into our next pose. You can use your hand here to take that back leg and stack it on top of the other leg. Now, this might look a little bit intense. If it does, you might prefer that foot in towards the pelvis a bit more. If both seem absolutely out of the question, send that leg long instead. There is no right or wrong. And if we start here and the knee is flying high, absolutely fine. There is no perfect aesthetic of the pose, but often in time, that knee will fall as you relax the muscles. So do what feels right for you. If you find that this foot falls down, the shin as well, also fine. There is no right or wrong. I often take a little mudra in this pose where you place thumb tips together, fingers on top of finger set, well done, and then drop down. You don't have to, it just feels quite nice, a nice relaxing mudra in this pose. So from here, we allow an upright spine, but not so upright that we would in yin. For example, there is no lift in the pelvic floor or core. There is no retraction of the shoulder blades and elongation of the neck. It's very relaxed, very natural. We'd like that same softening of the muscles from the target area all the way up to the crown if we can. The more areas within the body that we can allow to fall into that yin-like state, the easier it is to begin to shift into that yin-like essence. So when we're ready, we relax down the forehead, the cheeks, the jaw, the shoulders. Everything melts into the mat, into the pose, into the moment. Allowing your awareness to observe a thought is no less present than allowing your awareness to observe the present moment's breath or a sensation that you can feel. However, it is more difficult to not engage with the thought. The breath is rhythmic and slow, so often observing the breath is the easiest bridge to present in terms of avoiding distraction. The physical sensations are second. It can be difficult sometimes to avoid physical sensations from drawing a distraction or conversation. We allow ourselves to observe the sensations without attachment. And then observing the thoughts that we're experiencing presently is third easiest in terms of not getting distracted. So I often allow my awareness to become aware of the thoughts that arise, and then try and shift my awareness when I'm ready back to the breath, as that is the least distracting observation of the present moment. However, if you can allow your awareness to settle on these other parts of your present moment, that's absolutely fine as well. Just allowing yourself to bring that awareness to each passing present moment. When you're feeling ready, we use our hand to guide that leg out in front. We use our hands to guide that leg back and round. Take your time in making your way there. You might feel most comfortable framing the knee, or you might feel most comfortable gently turning into full deer and walking your hands forwards. Find what feels right for you. If you do feel comfortable completely melted down, then think about maybe drawing a prop. If it feels too intense of a twist, you might lay on a pillow or a blanket. Allow yourself to be kind to your body, kind to your mind. There is no way to be other than exactly as you are in the present. similarly to the poses, and how they can start feeling intense and often end feeling very enjoyable, a nice sensation that we almost don't want to leave. The same can be said for that silence. Often at the start of the practice, the stillness and the silence feels very loud, very distracting. We want to fill that silence with conversation mentally. However, as we deepen into our practice and into that yin-like state and essence, that silence can feel really welcomed. We often leave the practice feeling that bit more okay with being in the present moment. And over time, this can make a really evident shift. When you're feeling ready, as slowly as you can, we make our way up. We're going to take that back leg and scoop it round, planting one heel on top of the other knee, one knee on top of the other heel, or you could guide that foot in towards the pelvis, or you could send that leg long. Do what feels right for you, and just know that each side might be completely different. So we place no pressure to perform the same version as what we did on the other side, as often the hips hold very different tensions. When we're ready, we allow that silence. This is our last pose before we come into Savasana. So even if it's just for the last time today, we allow that softening down of the muscles, that relaxing down of the jaw, the cheeks, the forehead. A nice slow breath. Often when the mind has begun to wander, the face muscles will become engaged to some capacity. So it can be quite effective, rather than trying to come back to stillness by observing the thought. It can be an easier way if we draw our awareness towards the face muscles. We purposefully relax them down, melting them down towards the ground. And then just allow our awareness to shift back to the physical, the breath and the body. That can be a nice way to release thoughts sometimes. And again, there is no pushing of thoughts away, but also no pulling of thoughts in. We just become aware of their existence as part of our present moment experience. And then when you're ready, guide your awareness back to the breath, back to the sensations you feel. normal for the mind to wander. We allow each time the mind wanders to simply strengthen that habit of becoming aware where the mind has wandered to, without judgment or reaction, observing it, and then when you're ready, guiding your awareness back to present, back to the breath and the body. When you're ready, I'm going to take that top leg and send it long. Take the bottom leg, use your hands as much as you can in yin, and we're going to gently guide ourselves round into our Savasana. And it's up to you, whatever you want to grab. You could grab pillows, blankets, you could elevate the legs. Yin is often described as a lovely, simplistic practice where you just use the weight of the body, the hard ground, and gravity. However, we can incorporate restorative elements such as pillows, blankets, to guide everything up to you. We can guide the arms down by the side or on the body, anywhere that feels like it needs extra nurturing or attention. We relax the jaw, the cheeks, the forehead. And maybe for the last time today, completely switch into that state of being rather than doing. Whilst the body is completely relaxed down at night time, the mind is often still hard at work, trying to work out complex emotions and situations, still active when we're asleep. We've trained the mind to be in that state of that state of doing, where it's constantly active, productive, deciding and reacting. And this is amazing in everyday life. However, like all things, to stop from burnout, it's very, very important that we allow the brain and the mind to enter into that state of being, or that yin-like state, where it is allowed to just exist and be. It's amazing for our cognitive function, for our well-being. So we allow these last few minutes in our practice dedicated to that complete silence, where we just observe, returning to the breath when we can. If your mind begins to wander, observe where it wanders to, forwards to the hypothetical or backwards. Guide it gently back to present, observing the breath, which flows slowly and naturally in and out through your body. when you're feeling ready, as slowly as you can, begin to bring movement into your fingers and your toes. Into your ankles and your wrists. Guiding your hands towards your chest once you've made your way up into a seated position. Namaste.